everybody. Welcome back to Clip It. This episode is going to be awesome. I have an influencer here, a trend maker. I mean, she is breaking barriers. She has broken barriers in the industry, and she is a celebrity stylist. She has done so many different things. Now she's a spokesperson for Mizani and Aveda. And she also works for, or is a vice president, you'll let us know, for a hair extension company. And I am so excited to introduce to you the fabulous Tippi Shorter. Hi, Tippi.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you. Thank you
Welcome
so
to
much for
Clip
that
It.
intro. Thank you so much. Happy to be here. A couple of things have some changes in that intro. So I am the global artistic director for Mizani.
Okay.
I was with Aveda for 6 years and left them 2 years ago. So I've been with
Okay.
Mizani for 2 years.
Okay.
And I am no longer the VP of the hair extension company. I actually left that also when I joined Mizani.
Okay.
Mizani has me full front and center. Additionally, I have my own educational platform called the Texpert Collective.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm just going to just say that those are all the things that she has done, and she is still doing the thing. And she
Yeah.
has actually had her hands in so many celebrities. Can you just tell us a few of the celebrities? I know it's Kelly Rowland, it's Jennifer Hudson, Rihanna, Alicia
Yeah.
Keys, and the list goes on.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a
Yeah.
little
So
bit about
ironically,
that?
sure.
Wow.
Can you see this behind me? So that is a compilation of, and there's a lot more of the cards or the tags that you get when you are on a TV show or a concert venue or a video shoot or, you know, like an award show or things like that. So these are all tags that I've gotten. And these are probably about a 10 years worth of tags that I have. And on
Oh,
here, there's Alicia Keys, Jennifer Hudson, Rihanna, Lady Gaga,
Lady Gaga.
and
It's the name of
yeah,
her.
and so things from like the White House, the Super Bowl. Um, let's see, Kelly Rowland's on there. MTV Awards, BET Awards, VH1
Yes.
Awards. The morning show, Good Morning America. So all those types of things. That's what's behind me. So it's kind of just like my trophy, if you will, of
Yes.
my career.
Your
So yeah,
career.
I've spent a solid, yeah, I spent a solid 15 years fully and full time as a freelance hairstylist and traveling with celebrities. And as you mentioned, those ladies were a huge part of those 15 years solid. I've been working with celebrities for 20 years in total, but
Mhm.
15 years was totally dedicated to just traveling with these ladies. And so as you mentioned, Alicia, Jennifer, Rihanna, Lady Gaga, Kelly Rowland. And additionally, I've also worked with like Yara Shahidi, Tracy Ellis Ross, Taraji P. Henson, Mary J. Blige. So I've had the incredible privilege of working in the heads of all the women that I am a huge fan of. I actually made a transition, a professional transition about 3-4 years ago, where I wanted to focus less on traveling and being a full-time freelance artist and being more into the educational space and speaking to the professional. And so I still take occasional jobs here and there in the freelance space, but that's not really my main focus anymore. My main focus is really about elevating the beauty industry, one stylist at a time.
Awesome. And I tell you, your accomplishments is amazing. Amazing. May I ask you, like, when did you start? Like, how old was you when you started doing the celebrities?
Sure. So, well, I can say I got my license to start styling in California. So I grew up in Southern California and I got my license in 95. And and I was fresh out of high school. I did a year in college and then went to beauty school. So I started working with a stylist there by the name of Jamaica Wilson, um, who was my boss, and she's an incredible stylist now. She's has been Viola Davis's hairstylist for like the last 5, 6 something years, and
Okay.
doing really incredible stuff with her. So I started off working as Jamaica's assistant, and then moved into working on my own as a stylist. And then I moved to New York. And when I moved to New York, it was because I knew I wanted to work in the entertainment industry as a stylist. So I moved to New York in '97, and I did my very first celebrity job within 6 months of living in New York in '97.
Wow. Now, what type of transition was that, or what did you have to do to actually get from behind the chair in a salon to actually servicing the celebrities? Like, did you have to join a union
Sure.
or?
So the type of celebrity work that I did out the gate was photo shoots, music videos, album packaging, things like that. So you don't have to be in the union to do jobs like that. You just have
Okay.
to have great connections, have an agent, have a stellar portfolio, things like that. Or at least that's what you needed in those days. Times have changed greatly. So now you really just need a very highly curated Instagram feed, and the tenacity to keep DMing whoever it is you want to work with. That's kind of like what the skills that you need these days. But you do have to have you do have to have the quality work.
Yes.
So that's what I was doing back then. I was working in salons full time during all of this whole transition,
Mhm.
and then eventually ended up opening up my own salon in New York City
Mhm.
during this transition. Now, keep in mind, I'm doing small jobs. I'm not, I'm not doing traveling. I'm not, I'm not doing any international type things or any uh, national type things within the country. I was really just doing work in New York City. So it wasn't until I started working with Rihanna that I started working with Rihanna when I had my own salon, and it wasn't until I started working with Rihanna that I started traveling, and because I didn't even have a passport up to that point. So I started working with her. I got my passport, and my business partner at my salon was like, "Listen, you're gone a lot more than you're here." And she's like, listen, you're young, you're traveling, you just got your first passport, you have an opportunity of a lifetime, take it.
Yes.
And so with that, we decided to sell the salon to one of the stylists that worked there. And I kept a chair. So I had the ability to work when I, was in town and wanted to. And so this was in 2005 maybe. So I have not been full-time in a salon since then. And that was when I started so when I say full-time, like that's
Right.
really when I started traveling full-time with
Okay.
celebrity clients.
What
And so
a,
and Rihanna was the first person that I was able to travel the world with.
and is the money
Hmm.
what we think it is? Because you don't know what we think it is, but you know what we
I
think.
don't know what you think it is. Well, what I can tell you is my first celebrity job was basically in 2000. So it wasn't 1999. It was in 2000.
Okay.
And that's when uh, and it's a music video. So just to kind of put it in perspective, this is like Hype Williams, Missy Elliott, Busta
Yes.
Rhymes. Like this was
Yes.
like the era where it was all flashy and Diddy
Yeah.
and everything was, these were those were crazy rates. Those rates that hairstylists and makeup artists and wardrobe stylists got back then, they were able to like buy apartments in New York City, like and in Beverly Hills and things like that. So those were the
Okay.
rates that people were getting back then.
Wow.
So I was at the beginning of that. The beginning of that was when I was starting. So I wasn't getting those jobs. I was getting the jobs that they no longer took. Right.
Okay. Okay.
So
But
by
it
the
still
time
was
I was in
good.
a place where Oh, yeah, it was still good. So by the time I was in a place where I was in the league and working with A-listers, which was like 4 or 5 years later, the rates had come down significantly
Oh.
and almost by half. And but still good,
Mhm.
but just not what they were, 5 years prior.
Right.
And what has happened is because even in the 15 years that I worked, I saw rates dropped 2 to 3 times
Okay.
while I was working. And it's just because, people stopped buying albums. People stopped buying, everyone's now
Yes.
downloading stuff for free. No one, people go to
Yes.
concerts, but people aren't really watching. So how the buying trend changed. So as a result, the spending trend changed.
Okay.
Um, and I got asked to do a lot more favors and charity type things. And when I say charity, just meaning
Oh,
like a reduced rate, like, hey, we don't have that, we don't have your full rate for this, this is our budget. Would you mind doing it? And if it's a long time client, of course you're going to do it, right?
right, right,
Because it's, why not?
right.
Um,
But it's
and
way
then,
better than being
I've
behind the
been at
chair.
that depends, honestly. I mean, I have friends who are behind the chair who, could make, we would end up making the same amount in the day. So let me finish. So now, one of the additional reasons why I stopped working, because it just wasn't worth it to me anymore. I was like, you want me to go where and do what for how much? Like, okay, like
Okay.
I kind of felt like that makeup artist. I was like, you want me to do what? And I'm not talking like my existing clients. I'm talking about like new clients, right?
Right.
So, and so
Real talk.
and I
Real
can tell
talk.
you that that music pays more than television and actresses.
Okay.
Music artists, their rates are higher, and
Okay.
so that's one thing to note. So if you're thinking about doing, red carpet events and things like that, you're not going to get as much on your rate than you would for doing like an album packaging or something like that.
Okay.
But
That's good
now,
information.
I mean, there's so many jobs that are happening for free. There's so many hairstylists that are reaching out to celebrities. Hey, I'll fly out and I'll do you for free. Just take a picture for me, take a picture with me and post it. So it's been diluted so much that, I'm not
Wow.
even sure like real rates are being paid anymore. So you still have like the A-list celebrities who don't really fall
Yeah.
into the
Yeah.
um into that space. They still have, but still the rates are, they're a lot lower.
And may I ask,
Yeah.
is there any particular reason why you decided to step away and go into education for the typical so-called hairstylist?
Yeah. So, well, I'd always been educating. I'd been educating from before working with celebrities. I was a hair color educator for Goldwell.
Okay.
And then I was a hair educator for there's a brand called Razak. Are you familiar with that
Razak, I know
brand?
Razak,
Razak is,
yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So I was a platform artist for them when I first moved to New York, like late 90s. So education was in my blood and in my soul and in my bones. So I truly enjoyed it. Obviously, I really enjoy traveling around the world with my celebrity clients too.
Yes.
But I'm a mom and I'm a wife. And when working with celebrities, the one thing people don't understand, because they really just see the glamorous aspect of it, they really, see the financial benefit of it. And there are so many positives. And some people may not think the negative for me is a negative, but the negative for me was that you don't have your own time. You're
Mm,
truly on everybody else's schedule. And as a mom and a wife, there
mhm.
were times I missed birthdays, I missed anniversaries, I missed holidays, I missed, big school events, I missed sport games. I missed so much because I got a last minute job. And when you're working, what people don't know is that your last job, you're only as good as your last job.
Wow.
Meaning, you could be working with someone, you could be working with them for 2, 3, 5, 10 years, but
Mm,
you're only as good as your last job, because if they come across someone new, or if they see someone new, or they have new management, or they have new people in their lives that are influential on their career, and someone says, if just anyone suggests, hey, you might want to get a new glam team, or you might want to get a new whatever,
mhm.
guess what, you were as good as your last job. Now there's a whole new team in place, and you see things happening, you're just like, I was just with you 2 weeks ago. Why am I not with you? But and
Wow.
those are things you don't know, because you get booked, and so you have to show up and be your best every single time. And hoping your best is really good enough. And so what I my personal declaration, and no disrespect to any of the amazing ladies I've worked with, because I love them all. And if they called me today and was like, hey, Tippi, let's do this, I'm like, let's do this, as long as it works with my schedule. But my personal declaration was I had to reclaim my time back, because I missed so much of my daughter's young childhood. I missed so much time of the beginning part of my marriage. And so now I'm trying to play catch up.
Yeah.
Really just trying to play catch up at this point. So I told my husband, I said, listen, the day my daughter can verbalize that she doesn't want me to go to work, I'm going to have to start rethinking what I do, and that time came, and that's when I had to restart thinking. And so I had to decide, well, what do I love? What do I love doing? Well, I love traveling. Okay, so what part of hairstyling can I still travel? I love the fanfare of fashion and beauty. Okay, what part of the hairstyling? I mean, it's all fashion and beauty, right? But what
Yes.
aspect of that can I still enjoy? So shows, education, those things require travel. Those things allow, for the fanfare, fashion and beauty. A lot of times there are, high profile people at these events. So I still get that same really great and fun energy of creation in those same
Yes.
environments, but it's on my time, or at least it's a time that has been on a calendar for months, and it's not a last minute phone call.
Right, right. And so that's awesome that you took the opportunity to spend time with your daughter. You had already accomplished so much by the time you got married and had your daughter and everything. So you
Mm-hmm.
made a conscious decision. And I think it was a great decision to actually be a part. Normally it's the man that's working and, not
Yeah.
being a part, but it was you, the mother.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
she is truly grateful that you are, around more often.
I don't know. It's so funny you say that, because I look at it and I'm just like, grateful girl. She's like, I'm happy you're here or whatever. She's a teenager now, so it's just,
Oh,
everything is like, or whatever.
awesome, awesome. Now, you were like the first spokesperson for Pantene for textured hair. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I guess about 20 years ago, 'cause I think it was late 90s, early 2000, Pantene launched a line called Relaxed and Natural. So it was their
Okay.
very first line to speak to women of color. It was called Relaxed and Natural, brown packaging. And they, from my understanding, interviewed probably a cool 100 people, to see who would fit this role, to speak publicly on behalf of this brand. And I was fairly new. I think, at this time I was really working. I think Rihanna was my only celebrity that I worked with at the time. And uh sorry, my daughter's like giving me stuff to like do stuff for her. Right. We're homeschooling. Anyway, so at the time I think Rihanna was the only celebrity I was working with at the time, but she was also the most high profile client I was working with at the time. And so
Mhm.
from there I started getting calls out of the woodworks from brands, and and so my name starting to pop up in different places. And so my name popped up on the Pantene board, and they called me, and went into my interview, and I really didn't know what it was going to be like, and what,
Mhm.
to expect, or I really didn't anticipate anything. And then my agent called me and was like, you got the gig, we got the job, you're going to be this, so I was in that role for 10 years. So what I
Okay.
did there is I did a lot of television work for them. I did a lot of events for them. I did a lot of consumer education for them. And yeah, I mean, pretty much almost everything that I am doing now for the professional space, I did in the consumer space.
Okay. Was it a very strenuous, stressful job or
No, it was amazing. It was fun. So let me let me preface this by saying, I had childhood dreams of being a singer or an actor or something in entertainment,
we all
and
had?
I do not sing.
Well,
Well, hold on. Well, but I don't sing. So that was a long shot for it to happen for me. So, but what I did get is I got the opportunity to be on TV, on stage,
yeah,
have an audience,
yes,
but speak about what I'm passionate about. So it truly ended up being really the best of both worlds. And I still do that. Like, I still get to be on TV, on stage, on,
yes,
on your computer, but speaking about things that I'm passionate about versus, me reading a script or me,
Right.
sounding horrible because I can't sing.
Yeah. Totally admire everything that you have done, accomplished. And as a stylist, as a former stylist and salon owner, you have definitely reached the stars for a lot of us. So thank you so much. Can I ask you about
Thank you.
well, you have a show coming up in New York in February, a hair show?
So it was this past February. It was
Oh,
this
okay.
past February.
Okay.
Yep, it was this past February. So the educational platform that I spoke about called the Texpert Collective. So basically, that is a non-branded educational platform that I wanted to create, which I created, and I'm of course I want to say it was ahead of its time, but basically. I really got tired of a lot of the educational platforms that are out there not reaching out to people of color. One, or showcasing and highlighting women with textured hair, who can be any skin tone.
Right.
So I figured there needs to be something like that. And like my DNA is
Hmm.
wired to not be, I've never been somebody should do this and there should be this and somebody should do. No, that's not my my DNA is if someone should do it, I'm gonna do it. So
Okay.
that's how the Textbook Collective was created, and I created it with a girlfriend, Kailani Goodwin, who is an educator, hair color educator. She's an educator overall, but specializes in hair color. And
Okay.
we were at an event in New York City. All right. So let me back up. So knowing that there weren't any platforms that offered or highlighted or featured, this, I knew that there should be something like that. So during Fashion Week, 3-4 years ago, because I've been doing Fashion Week for like 15 years. And during Fashion Week, we went to an event, Kailani and I and another friend, Charmel, and went to an event. And this event had consumers and professionals there. And the biggest complaint for all of these people were that they just didn't feel there was elevated education for texture. Like stylists just didn't know, like they don't see education being on these platforms that I mentioned. They don't see education being offered from these larger brands. They just don't see it,
African American
at least
hair.
not in an elevated way.
Right.
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 Well, and I just say textured hair, right?
Oh,
Because,
okay. Yeah.
I know plenty of women who
Yes.
are Black who have all textures, and I know plenty of women who are white who have all textures. So I just, I like to speak in textures versus skin tone,
Color.
right?
Right.
So with that, they were just speaking about not having more education. And so we went back to our Airbnb and we were like, oh man, somebody should. And I'm just like, y'all know how I roll. It ain't for me, it's not somebody should. It's just like, when do we start? And so that's when Textbook Collective started. So what we ended up doing was hosting our very first event, which is the Texture Beauty Jam, where we had 9 artists, 3 artists at a time in clusters, do on stage presentations for an hour. And it was a sold out event in this beautiful loft in New York City. And we had incredible sponsors from like Mizani, Redken, Enzo, Share.
Hmm.
Oh gosh, we just had tons and tons of sponsors, and
Awesome.
it was incredible, and people were excited and chomping at the bit for like the next bit of education. So we actually just had one. Goodness, it's 2 months now. It was called the Textured Hair Elevated Summit. So we just call it the Summit, and THE being acronyms.
Okay.
And that was to raise money for Black Lives Matter and Color Change. And we actually raised over $30,000,
Awesome.
and we were able to donate $18,000 for each of those charities.
Awesome. Now, did you do that in person or was that during the COVID?
That was digital. Yeah, yep.
Okay, it was
So that
digital.
was
Okay.
digitally. Yeah, yep. That was the
Okay.
digital event. So the first one in February was a live event. And the
Okay.
one we just did was a digital event. We're actually working on our next digital educational event. So we are looking forward to it. We're really just in the planning stages. We don't have a timeline yet. I
Mhm.
think I think November is what's being tossed around for us month-wise. And yes, we're looking for a nice and full educational event.
That's so awesome. I definitely want to make that event for myself. Um,
Yeah.
so
So yeah, I mean, so if you're following me, Tippi Shorter, or following the Texpert Collective on social media, you'll definitely see the announcements when those come out. And I like to say that with the one that we just had, we had so many sponsors. We had 34 giveaways, and I'm talking from like T3, Arc Shear, Samvia, Pulp Riot, Red Kim's on. I mean, it was just incredible. So my biggest keys to the excuse me to the
it's
starting professional is yes, sky is the limit. Sky is the limit. Please understand and please know that you can take your hairstyling career wherever you want to take it. Like things that I'm doing now, I didn't even know were options when I was, fresh and new into the hairstyling world. The people who were around me were people who were all blueprinters. They weren't salon owners, and some of them were educators, and they were super happy, or at least appearance wise appeared to be super happy
right,
with their day to
right,
day and what they were doing. I knew I wasn't going to be happy with that because I had this, like, the hairstyling wasn't my first dream, and it wasn't my first love. And my first dream and my first love was making sure I had the opportunity to travel, be in, as I said, be in
right.
environments where I can share and show and perform, if you will,
Hmm.
and things like that.
Hmm.
So it was like, how can I marry those things? And once I didn't even the moment I learned that celebrities had hairstylists, like, duh, of course they do, but you don't think about it, right? Because
Right,
back then you didn't have social media, so you didn't know who was anyone's hairstylist.
right.
Unless you read the names in the gutter of those magazines, you didn't know who was doing what. So the woman Jamaica who I worked for, she got booked to do a music video, and I did music video with her as her assistant, and it was like I was like, oh, celebrities have hairstylists. Like, I can, like, if I can do
Ah,
this. This is what I want to
yes,
do. And so
yes.
after that first, like, job as her assistant, like, that was it. I was like tunnel vision. It
Okay,
was like, that's what
okay,
I want. I want that. That's what I
okay.
want to
So
do.
it
And,
takes
and
motivation.
it does. But now, you can see every aspect of the beauty industry smeared across your face because it's all over Instagram, it's all over Facebook, it's all over TV. It's so popularized and glamorized at this point.
Mhm.
So you can simply pick and I want to be an educator for here, I want to be an influencer for here. I mean, you could be an influencer and not even work for the company. You could just simply be an influencer and just get a check from the company just to use the product and talk about it. But of course, you have to have a lot of following, but there's just so much you do. So understand what your so to the newcomers, understand
Yes,
and really determine what it is that you want to do, and really that path getting there is, like I said, if you want to be an influencer and work with multiple brands, then you have to work on getting your followers up. If you want to educate, then you have to work on getting your knowledge up, and then start, you got to start working with the brand from ground up.
mhm,
um, if you want to, be a spokesperson, usually you have to have some other stuff that's behind you already. Like, I had
mhm.
celebrity styling behind me before someone said, oh, I want to choose her to be my spokesperson. So you have to do the legwork and just get your foot in the door and start making noise in whatever facet that is and means to you, for people to notice.
Yes, yes. That's just so much to give to people. And you said to me a week ago, you said you like to give back. You like to tell people how to, move forward and be successful. And I think that's so awesome as an influencer.
Yeah, just talking about the giving back part of it. I'm currently there is currently a not, I use the word competition so lightly because it's not a competition.
Okay.
There's a platform called Canvas, canvas.me. So it's canvas.me. No, oh, forget the dot. It's called Canvas Me.
Okay.
CANVASME, Canvas Me. You go to Canvas Me. I and I think 4 or 5 other influential notable hairstylists are doing mentorship opportunities.
Okay.
And so you go on to Canvas Me, you create a profile, and each of us have a requirement. So I have a video requirement. You must create a video letting me know about you and what is your point of difference. So what makes you different than the stylist who's sitting in the chair to your right and to your left. And so I think at the end of this month, we're going to make the selections, and then so there'll be a mentorship opportunity, and you'll have an hour of my time via Zoom, and we will just chop it up. You can ask me about your career. I can give you like deep dives into like steps how to get there, and so cool opportunities.
Fantastic. And you also have another platform as well. You have a show. Do you have a show behind the beauty, or?
Yeah. Actually, there's 2. There's 2. So while doing the Texpert Collective, and while doing Fashion Week, and just knowing that I have such incredibly dope friends, I really wanted to make sure, because these are people who just kind of keep their head down and do the work. They don't have the desire to be out on stage and on TV and doing stuff like some of us do. So they are just behind the scenes all the time, and I wanted to shine some light on these folks. So some of them already have lights shined on them, but for the most part, I just wanted to create a platform that once again was celebrating stylists of color. So this whole series, Behind the Beauty, is just a cool 45 60-minute conversation, very much like this, where I bring in people and we break bread, we have cool conversation. I ask them, questions about them, their career, what they're doing, how they got started, advice that literally, the conversations is simply just like this.
Awesome.
And so that's Behind the Beauty, and you can find Behind the Beauty in a few different places. So it's on YouTube. It does have its own YouTube page, so go check it out and subscribe to it. So that's Behind the Beauty. And then you can find it obviously on my website at Tippi Shorter, or you can find it on the Texpert Collective website. So you can find us in 3 places. So the other show, that I mentioned is a show. Well, so this is a show that's produced by Mizani, and it's called Texture Table Talk. Texture Table Talk is the name. And when I joined Mizani 2 years ago, it was a show that they already had brewing. And I think because they knew I was going to be joining the team, and they knew I was already doing things in this space, that I was going to be the host of it once I joined the team. So upon entry, I started hosting a show called Texture Table Talk. And so there are 5 or 6 different episodes that we filmed, and you can find those on Mizani's Facebook page. You could probably find them on YouTube as well, but if you type in, so it was a play on Red Table Talk, but for the beauty industry. So we talk about we speak about things that are hard hitting. I'm not like this hard hitting journalist, so it's not like that. There's still fun conversations, but we do talk about serious items that are affecting the beauty industry.
Okay, awesome. So you are a woman of all talent, a woman of wisdom.
Yeah.
You have so much wisdom, and you just keep it moving. And you are definitely an influencer to so many people that you probably only can't imagine. And I love that you have taken the time to come on to Clip It and tell us your story. You have so much more to. Yeah, you're welcome. You have so much more coming. So we would definitely like to stay in touch and see what you're doing and keep up with you and your travels and everything that you're doing for the industry. And you're greatly appreciated, especially
Thank you.
Yes, you are appreciated. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That feels good, because that's why we do it, right?